It shook me, eh? I'm just carrying on a bit. You're an animal. Whether you are watching us on YouTube or listening to us on your favourite podcast platform, welcome back to the Torq Hub podcast.
Alrighty, welcome to the Torq Hub podcast. This is a bit of a special. We got a good friend of ours, Jayden Shaggie Dalton. Welcome to the potty, mate.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
No worries.
Guest number two.
Guest number 2, first one for 2025. It's something that we're hoping to have a fair bit more of this year, isn't it, Kate?
Yeah, I think it's something we need to try and prioritise a little bit.
I mean, it's only so many hours that people can listen to us talking shit.
I'm honestly surprised people do listen to it, like genuinely. But anyway, so.
Nah, it's good. Thanks for coming along, mate. You got a couple of wild stories. We've been spending a lot of time together lately. We'll probably get into that a little bit later on. But I guess, yeah, real quick, give us a rundown because not many people will know you. Who are you? What do you do?
All right, so I'm an auto electrician by trade. Have my own company with my dad in Bunbury.
Yeah.
Red Light Auto Electrics. I've got it was a Barra powered Skyline 33.
Yeah.
Which currently is not Barra powered anymore, which I'm sure we'll get into later on.
Yeah, it's got a pretty wild story, that thing.
Yeah. Recently we've been doing a little bit with you guys with aftermarket ECUs in Kurt's car and diving into some more stuff.
Yeah, sick. So, auto electrics. So that's what you've always done?
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously,
pretty much.
Your old boy's an auto Sparky.
Yeah, family business, so it's myself and dad. But
Following in his footsteps.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot more of the aftermarket ECU and conversion stuff lately. When we can. I mean, we used to always do it, but once you start doing your own cars and diving deeper into it, we're starting to do more and more.
Yeah, and I think there's probably a bit more call for like the aftermarket sort of performance stuff these days. A lot more is available for people, right? And it's fairly affordable. So you got people like Kurt and me who aren't real good with twitch and wires. We know just enough to be dangerous, but if you want something to work properly, you need someone that knows what they're looking at.
Yeah, and you can go like entry level, and then you can have like basically an unlimited budget depending on how much you want to spend and what gear you want in your car. The options are pretty good.
Yeah, there's a big scope, big range, and probably surprise you more than what you think.
Yeah.
With an entry level versus like a motorsport level.
Yeah.
Harness, there's a lot of extra work involved.
Just as far as like industry stuff, what do you reckon's been like obviously the last 20 years for technology in everything has been pretty wild, but what do you reckon's been the biggest leap that you've seen in your time in the trade?
Oh, we get a variety of cars at work, from brand new stuff to, old carb stuff, 70s or 60s or rewires or whatever we do. But probably the last, I haven't seen the massive change from carb to fuel injection, but even over the last 5 to 10 years now of, the how much CAN bus has been used in cars and the growth, not just in European cars now, but throughout all cars.
Yeah. CAN I don't understand it. Like I can fumble my way through like a 12-volt relay. But when you start talking CAN, that's pretty wild. It's like, what is it? It's like a digital signal through 2 wires, yeah?
Yeah.
To do a whole range of shit.
Yeah, the networking. And
that's wild.
saves a lot of time for manufacturers and a lot of wire.
Yeah, yep. So where did you start in like the performance car sort of thing? Obviously, you've got the Skyline now. I'm assuming that's not your first project.
No, I've had a few projects always on the go. Just ranging from like 4-wheel drives when I first got my license to I have a 66 C10 Chev truck as well.
Shoo.
That we were gonna do a LS conversion on, and then like all projects, as you know yourself, you pull the paint back and here we go to the panel shop.
Yeah.
So that's on the back burner, and when that got on the back burner, I looked into some other cars to do, and I did I've done lots of like LS patrols and stuff like that, but then for street cars, I did a EF XR6.
Yeah.
put a T56 in it and a BA turbo engine.
Yeah, right.
That was probably the first step into it, E85, learning about fuel systems and staging fuel pumps, aftermarket ECUs, factory ECUs then to start with. Then
So
you get your
that one
range.
was like the gateway drug.
That's
Yeah,
what I was about
pretty
to say.
much.
That's when that bug crawled out from under the dashboard and fucking bit you on the hand. Didn't
Yeah,
it?
pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much go from making like decent power on petrol to going, just going to run everything on E85 now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
That's
not-
just the way, like, we couldn't be any further away from E85, really, could we?
I mean, I'm sure we could be further, but it's still a long way.
Yeah, like, there's
Dude,
nothing close.
I was down in Albany last week on a bit of a trip, and that's like a 4.5 hour drive from where we are, and they've got E85.
That's how do they have it? I
I don't know. It must have
understand.
been a Race Wars thing. I think when they were running Race Wars down there, they must have done a deal with the United down there to put a tank in. So there's like one servo down there that does E85, which is like 400 k's from Perth, and we're probably 100 k's from our nearest Bowser. Sure.
Yeah.
Same with Kellerbarron. You're on your way to head over east and you pull up to Kellerbarron and they got E85 on pump.
Yeah, just in case you need to stop on your cannonball run out to Kalgoorlie.
Yeah. In a hurry.
It's just a no-brainer, though, isn't it, really? Like, even when we'll get into more of, like, what we did with my car, because that's been a fucking really fun thing. We've enjoyed it. We've been vibing like, fuck, it's been really good. But even Jeff asked me, he's like, is that on pump 98? I'm like, nah, E85. He's like, oh, thank fuck, or whatever he said. Like,
Yeah.
trying to make any sort of reliable horsepower, especially on an old shitty 5-litre like what I have on mower juice, like, and it's so inconsistent.
There's no glory in trying to be an octane hero.
Yeah, that octane limited hero. Yeah, I mean, it's good to tootle around on. Like, I'll get some sort of a flex sensor on so I can, if I want to just,
Well, it's far
cruise
cheaper.
around them. But I couldn't care if it fucking only made 250 horsepower. It's not. There's no point pushing it. So
Nah.
I'm glad you got into it early anyway.
Yeah,
with
that's
the SBE, because it would have been a stock bottom in Barra, wasn't it, when you first
Yeah,
started?
it was just the whole BA, the BA engine that everyone's like, spaghetti rods don't make any power, but, we didn't do the head studs and oil pump like everybody says. We just did valve springs and some injectors in the clutch and, a decent intake and decent cooler on the thing, and stock turbo, and it made good power.
Yeah.
Made 550 horse to the tyre on E85, just with,
Which, in an E-Series Falcon,
Yeah,
with
that
the
was...
manual, like, on the straight,
Yeah.
let's be serious.
I'll-
That's plenty to get in trouble. Plenty to get
I'll
in
go back, and
trouble.
that's probably... that was a fun car.
Yeah.
Mini spool and manual.
You're just thinking about it now.
Yeah.
You're like, actually.
Yeah, that was actually perfect amount of power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever get in any trouble with it, or you?
Nah,
you
I was
fairly
pretty well
lucky?
behaved.
Yeah.
But then I sold it when I started the Skyline build, and I look back and go, I wish I kept the car, but at the time that paid for the engine.
Yeah, right.
For the new build, so it is what it is.
Yeah. Sometimes if you love something, you got to let it go. I'm still tearing up about mine.
She'll be right.
She will be right.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about this Skyline then. This thing's got a long story, right? I think, if I remember correctly, Bart told me it was a $1,500 roller. Is that right?
Yeah, so it was a $1,500 roller. It didn't go. It wasn't even a roller, actually. We'll start again. It was a $1,500 car
Boat.
that I bought. Yeah, boat, whale, whatever you want to call it. It didn't go. And I picked it up off the fella and I said to him, we're going to get it going. This is what we're going to do. We're going to put a Barra in it. We'll send you a video of it doing a skid when it's going. And I think he thought we were going to pull the engine straight out, but we got it back home and then we found, luckily, it was electrical. Found a
Lucky you know a guy, yeah.
couple of blown fuse links and faulty immobilizer and a fuel pump later, and we were doing a skid on Bart's trailer within the next couple of hours. So
I was going to say, those RB25s, they were pretty bad for fusing. Same as the SR20s as well, weren't they?
yeah, all early Jap stuff.
Yeah. Those fusible links, once they get you.
So then I ended up driving that thing around. It was auto 25 turbo. I drove that around for, I was still at TAFE then. I drove it around for maybe 6 months.
Yeah.
And then Bart was like, I got a buyer for the engine. Do you want to sell the engine? So it was like, yep, straight out. Sold the engine and the gearbox, and then we got the roller for nothing.
Yeah, right. There you go. That's a pretty good way to start a project, isn't it?
How good would you feel when you sold a car that didn't run and then you get like a video 2 hours later of it doing a skid on the trailer? You're like, oh, fuck.
Hey, that's the age-old story, though, isn't it? You didn't pay the tradesman for the 2 hours work. You paid them for the couple of years of experience that they got to get it done in 2 hours.
Yeah.
But, it started off there, and then being, coming from the EF and making power really easily and very affordably with the Barra, I found myself a FG engine.
Yeah.
It was really low K.
So you didn't use the BA engine that was in the XR6? You sold that?
I sold
as
that
a complete...
as a complete car.
Ah, right on.
Yeah. And then I actually got a FG engine from around Bunbury out of a wreck. And I sat it on the shelf and we were going to use it. And then I kept looking at it and I went, oh, you know what, maybe we should just get a built and we should just order a built engine. So I made some phone calls and I went, you know what, FG engines are worth a lot of money, which back then a lot of money was like $3,000.
Yeah, what are they
now? It's like $8,000 for your engine, which is as much as a built one.
Yeah.
And I ended up selling it. Actually went to one of the local gearbox shops at the time. They bought it. They had a customer come in with a dead engine and he rang me up and said, have you got a bottom end? And I went, yep, I sure do. So that went to them and then, I had some spare coin and ordered the new engine.
So we're getting a bit of a pattern here. You're a bit of a swindler. You've always seemed to just...
Wheeler and dealer.
You just got the right thing on the shelf at the right time. You're just getting kissed on the dick left, right and centre here.
Yeah, you can, that's one way you could say it. I just couldn't afford to do it any other way, so I had to just buy stuff when it was suiting.
Yeah.
Hang on to it as long as you can or use it when you can always have an LS on the shelf. You're going to either use it or you're going to sell it to someone else who needs it. So.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, they call that keeping your finger on the pulse.
Yeah. And just having the right network of people.
Yeah.
Exactly. If you're in the trade, you might as well take advantage of being in the trade. So.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. So you pulled the trigger on a built engine then?
Yeah, I pulled the trigger on a built engine. And then the plan was to go... I kept all the stuff from the FG, so the ECU and everything, and we were going to just put a FG ECU in it. And then I was, at the time, the Haltech were getting all excited about their plug-in.
Oh, yeah.
So I actually ended up with a plug-in at that stage, which didn't really help the whole plug-in scenario, but being auto ledger just didn't really make any difference.
Yeah.
So we wired that up and put that in, and it started with the Haltech and TR6060 manual in it.
Oh, right on. How far with the engine did you go? Like, was that stock crank? Like, when we say build engine, obviously there's a lot of... So, how far did you go with it?
So it was, at the time, it was stock cams, stock crank, rods, piston, firing.
Yeah, okay, so firing straight off the bat.
Yeah, it was firing straight off the bat,
Yeah.
Horsepower Junkie had released the very first proper billet oil pump, so we got hold of one of them. Mm-hmm. And then, we just was with the manual. We just put a twin plate in it, and we built it to do race wars.
Oh, yeah.
That was the main goal. We wanted to go 300 at race wars.
So race wars, for those who might be a bit uninitiated, that was something that was a couple of WA boys. They started doing. It was essentially VMAX. It was kind of like half-mile racing that they see in the States and stuff like that. But it was VMAX runs. It started off at an airport in Wildcatcham, which is out in the wheat belt. Eventually, I think they sort of found that maybe the safety standards probably weren't high enough at Wildcatcham, and they ended up moving the show down to Albany. I think they had a bit of a gig with the Albany Shire Council as well. And there was multiple 300 kilometre an hour vehicles down there, some of the toughest street cars in the state. And, we saw people coming from over east chasing down the records as well. Obviously got the Snowy Mountains. Is it Snowy Mountains 1,000 or 1,500? I can't remember now. But that's a similar event that they had on the East Coast. But, they had some of those guys coming over here to Race Wars to chase down some numbers. So that's what you were building the car for? Yeah,
that was what the car was built for. So basically the combination was to get to 300, maintain 300, roughly 1,000 horsepower was going to be kind of what we needed.
Yeah.
So that's just basically where the build started.
Yeah.
Then the next thing we ran into then was, all the RB stuff was really diff, like trying to get diff gears was hard.
Oh, yeah.
So then we ran into that scenario. So I got a diff out of a 370. They had a nice ratio, so we then modified the cradle to take the 370 centre and 300 ZX shafts and some GDR hubs to try and hold 1,000.
Yeah, right.
So it was a lot of parts thrown together from a lot of different models of cars, and like looking back, it was the right time we did it. Everything was pretty affordable.
Yeah.
And then that rear end stayed in the car for a long time. Unfortunately, Race Wars, we went to 78 on day one.
Oh, yeah.
Over the 800. And then, unfortunately, Sunday was cancelled. So, yeah, we missed out on being able to go for the 300. But
was it showing promise? Like, obviously, you would have had a bit of data there with the Haltech setup. You could have sort of seen what you were at. Like, was it looking like you were going to be on track?
Yeah, we're definitely going to be on track. It was the first time we'd really even used the car.
So you got absolutely blue balled.
What was it like going at that speed at the airport in what you've built, from the ground up with just a whole bunch like Frankenstein parts basically?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. That's
what I was thinking. I was like, man, 270 is fucking crazy in my eyes. It's pretty crazy with all factory type of parts. You
go back. This car was free.
Yeah, and you've still got like stock suspension at this point. Oh
yeah, just
stock style suspension.
It was all stock style suspension. Some cheap coilovers at the time
with a taxi motor in it.
Yeah, I had some decent brakes on it. It did have
thank fuck.
It did have Evo Brembo set up on it, so it did have decent brakes. But everything else was a bit interesting. We hadn't really had any time to test the vehicle, to test the car prior. Oh, so it was kind of just in the deep end straight away.
Yeah.
But credit to Nissan Skylines. They do track. Yeah. You can laugh and call them a boat or a whale or whatever, but I can tell you what, it would definitely have been nicer going down there than going down in your Commodore.
That's what I was about to say. As I asked that question, I listened, I'm like, this still is a sports car, and we're used to driving Commodore like shit boxes.
Yeah. So think about some of the cars that were down there. Some of the like 250 kilometre plus cars were like Tiranas and like H series Holdens and X series Falcons, and you got to think trying to wrangle one of them. Yeah. I mean, get accelerating's fine, but then once you're at that terminal speed and you're holding that terminal speed to try and control it and then slow it down at the other end.
And there's no walls, so you've got the exact same thing at the drag strip. Obviously, it's littered with all these types of cars. Yeah. But you've got some walls there, and you've got sand traps, and you've got like medics and all that kind of stuff, whereas I'm sure they had medics there, but it's still a bit different.
Yeah, no walls, no sand trap. Like
400 metres versus 1,000 metres,
It's a long way.
It's a long time on the throttle.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's taxing on cars too.
Yeah, you want your tune up not too bad.
Yeah.
That's not something where you're going to get a gassy and fucking, just send it.
What sort of precautions did you make? Obviously, like you say, you're on wide open throttle for a hell of a long time. What sort of extra considerations do you think you made for, say, Race Wars compared to what you would have had to if it was just going to be a quarter mile rig?
Yeah, I guess you had to make sure that you did everything had to be of quality.
Yeah.
This is a long time.
Did you have to like put extra fuel in, or was like just the extra like ducting for the radiator setup or anything like that? Or
no, it wasn't like you did see a lot of the guys start to tape stuff up as it's a long time.
Yeah.
Going quick and there's 300 k's an hour. But then you look into it now and you go like, my car's been pretty quick over the 400 meters now, so it's a different. I guess you can say it is so different, but at the same time, it
kind of the same.
Stuff's gonna blow off. It's gonna blow off.
Yeah, for sure.
I always had decent fuel systems in the car and a lot of fuel.
Yeah.
So we were always fine with that.
I gotta say, it's pretty admirable to like, because you're a fairly young dude compared. I mean, not that we're super old, but you've gotten into it.
It's 10 years.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and you're a decade younger than us, and Race Wars has been away for a fair while, so you've got stuck into this like at a pretty young age, and to have the level head and the foresight to purchase the things that you purchased and put together a combination the way that you have, it's pretty hardcore, dude. Like, no shit. It's like you can tell that's a place of passion for you that's been there from very early on.
Yeah, you look back, Race Wars was ages ago.
Yeah.
Like people now don't even know what it was.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, we don't do it anymore. So then
No.
my car had to make a big change.
So that was the last time they did it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So Race Wars is done, and like you say, you've got to figure out what you're going to do with the car. You've done a couple of different things with that car, right?
Yeah, so I wasn't alone, obviously. There's
Yeah.
lots of guys who built cars to do Race Wars, and then now Race Wars is no more. So we've all got a bunch of cars sat in the shed at home, and you look at it and you go, oh, what am I going to do with it? You know, mine was manual, so we're like, oh, we'll take it drag racing. And
I think you did you do like some Targa?
I did like some track day stuff with it.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
You know, then you start, the power I was making was a bit stupid for doing all that stuff. And, you know, you got to choose what you can do. And yeah, the car's registered, but
We're not taking power out of the car because that's
Yeah.
just
No.
fucking not happening.
Yeah.
we
nah.
put all that time and effort in, you know,
That's
to
it.
make the power.
Turned down for what?
We weren't gonna, you know, and it had a big turbo and stuff on it, and it was manual. So realistically, I was, you know, working out what I was gonna do, and we went to the track just on a Wednesday night for a little bit of a laugh, really, just
Yeah.
to see what the car would do. And then we had the Barra flywheel sort of issue,
Oh, yeah.
and that was the last time the car stayed manual.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah. Lucky we had no damage.
Yeah.
I caught it in time, but after that I said, nah, this is silly.
Yeah, yeah.
Time for an auto.
So it just cracked the flywheel?
Nah, I just shook the
Yeah, okay.
flywheel bolts.
Yeah, and tried turning the crank into a skipping rope.
Yeah,
Well, it's always a skipping road.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. It just shook it loose.
Do you remember what it did as a manual? I was there that night. I remember standing in the staging lanes and watching you fire that missile from the start line.
I don't remember exactly the ET, but I just remember it going 155 mile an hour.
Yeah, I think it was like I'm pretty sure it was a 9.
Yeah.
It wasn't meant to go a 9. It went a 9, and then it was 155 mile an hour, and I'm going, looking at the dude next to me, I'm going, that thing should run an 8.
Yeah.
Like easy. What the hell, man?
Yeah.
It was pretty wild. Like, and it looked pretty wild getting off the line too.
Yeah, it was. It's definitely one of those videos that you watch that, you know, definitely went a little bit more than 400 meters that day.
Yeah.
It was all over the show, and
Yeah, you took the long way.
yeah, definitely went the long way around. But yeah, then it went 155 mile an hour in an untech car, and yeah,
Got the tap on the shoulder.
Yeah.
I'm sure Motorplex were cool with it.
Yeah.
time to load that one up. But nah, there was definitely there was a noise coming from the bell housing anyway, so it was getting loaded up regardless.
Yeah.
And then basically I was like, oh yeah, let's go drag racing.
Yeah. No, once you go on drag racing, I mean, unless you are going to be like the clutch guy, like if you're going to be the Aussie Cletus, and we don't even have like a stick race class here, do we? Nah, there wouldn't be enough people dumb enough.
Nah, it's expensive. It's an expensive way to do it. That's for sure.
Yeah. It'd take a hell of a lot of skill, but damn, like,
Yeah.
you know what? Let's just buy that auto.
Yeah.
So you put an auto in. What did you go with?
So I went a Reed Case Power Glide.
Yeah, okay.
Um,
Was there any particular reason? Was that a recommendation or?
a lot of deciding whether to go 400 or whether to go Power Glide.
I guess the car being, I mean, they're not super light really, are they? The 33s, but they're not crazy heavy either.
Yeah, it's not a crazy heavy car. I just wanted to keep the weight down, really.
Yeah.
The other thing is like expense, which,
Oh,
you know, to get a gangster Power Glide was, you know, spare $5,000 over a gangster turbo 400.
Yeah.
You know, and then like people don't get told enough about ratios
That's
and
right.
stuff like that.
That's what I
And-
say. Pretty much, if you're not on a big ass slick, your starting line ratio is everything. So
Yeah.
a 248 fucking stock gear set's probably not going to cut it if you're trying to go radio racing.
And everybody is like, oh, but there's only 2 gears and there's not enough education really on the fact that it doesn't matter that it has 2 gears. It's all about what the gearing is inside.
Yeah.
So the Glide was basically a no-brainer.
Yeah.
You know, I got a good deal on that at the time, and it was quick. We sourced it quick, and
Yeah.
that there was no worries about it fitting in the tunnel. We
Yeah.
could buy, we're straight away Reed Case, so we Torq Power got us a bell housing straight away, and you know, then we didn't have any blankets or shielding we had to put on the trans, so then it made it fit in the tunnel nicer.
Yeah. No, good call. So what? You're saying, gear sets and stuff like that. You obviously didn't go with the 248 or a 180 first gear or something like that? Oh,
It was just a 180.
It was a
first
180
gear and a
first gear?
glide, yeah.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah.
And that works sweet?
Perfect.
Yeah. Converter's really key, isn't it? Like, there's a hell of a lot to it. This is where you get into the like real black magic of getting a race car off the line. It's all down to like diff ratio, tyre height.
Yeah.
You know, like...
Yeah, there's a lot involved in the cost difference from something that'll work in a 400 range. And I know this just purely from the project that we've got going on now with the Maloo, you know. There's a significant difference in a turbo 400 close ratio, sort of 3-speed with a good starting line ratio versus a power glide. That's why you'll find that most guys are doing the power glide thing because it just works.
Yeah.
Keeping it simple, and also you're going to save, depending on your power level, $10,000 to $15,000. So.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. No, it's pretty wild what a 2-speed trans can do. You know, like if you got it all set up right.
So it's all built right, and it's all set up right, and you monitor all the pressures and the temps and everything good. Mine was absolutely faultless.
Yeah. Big motor as well. Like obviously, if you've got something maybe a little bit smaller that has a more narrow power band, the change from your 180 to your 10 top gear, it's going to tug the motor down a lot, and it's going to be fucking unhappy. But if you've got a bigger motor that can sort of tug through that stuff, which is the kind of stuff we all like, you know, your turbo V8s and your forced big stuff, you know. I mean,
a rotary's not going to be too keen.
No, probably not.
Yeah,
and
but a big inch.
A lot with converter that you can work out.
That
to
is
make
black
it work.
magic.
Oh,
in my
yeah.
eyes, isn't it?
And then converter dumps. Then you start adding another level of black magic.
We're spoiled for what you can get these days.
Oh yeah. You just got to have the right person stroking the ivories.
Yeah.
So at the moment, you're still on the Barra plug-in at that point?
Yeah, so it was still Barra plug-in.
So that's the Haltech one, yeah.
You had a bolt-in cage in it.
Oh yeah. Like an AGI cage.
Yeah, it was an AGI cage. That was another late night marketplace deal. We
Yeah.
drove to the other side of Perth. Bunbury guys will drive anywhere, as you know.
Yeah, you will drive anywhere. You are not scared of driving.
Yeah,
eh?
I'll
That's
just
one
drive.
thing.
If there's a deal, I'll drive.
Oh, me too, bro. Yeah. You get people in Perth that are going, "Where are you? 3 suburbs over?" No,
Yeah.
fuck that.
Yeah. Will
you
Whereas I'm
deliver?
like, I'm going hour and a half drive to save a few $100
That's
bucks.
just because we're used to it, though, because
Well,
there's fucking nothing local normally.
Yeah, what choice of
But the
it?
only good thing we got local is your engine that time, and that was just a miracle.
Absolutely.
Other than that,
If you come across something local, you just buy it.
Yeah, absolutely. Nah, because it's like to buy anything here, we've said it 100 times on the podcast, but we're pretty much about as far from any half decent warehouse as you can get, and postage is an absolute killer.
yeah,
for
Oz
that kind
Post
of thing.
tax is fucking,
Dude.
it's real. It's hitting hard in late 24, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, so
Some
if
of the postage bills, I'm like, fuck, really?
Yeah. So if you can pick it up for A, way off retail, and B, for half a tank of fuel, sign me up.
And not wait 2 weeks
Yeah.
or 3 weeks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nah, good stuff. So AGI cage.
Yeah, it
Barra
was
plug-
still plug-in. AGI cage still had a GDX 4202 on it then.
Yeah, okay.
Same cooler that we stayed with forever.
Yeah.
Same fuel system we stayed with forever. It was still my Frankenstein Nissan rear end in it.
IRS, yep.
I then went and bought some IDS shocks from Import Drag Solutions.
Oh, yeah.
So we got some fancy shocks in it. Mm-hmm. And then when I went to go get it teched, probably silly on my behalf, you know, there's rule changes and stuff with the bolt-in cages and, you know, whether I just got unlucky at the time, but there was an ungusseted AGI cage.
Oh.
So I was then had the option to either get it, you know, the tacos put in it or to sell it. You know, we let the guys who were buying it know we're selling it cheap, it needs the tacos put in it. So we sold it off. That went same day. And then I booked it straight in for a chromoly cage.
Yeah, okay. I guess it's kind of hard because when you're looking at an AGI cage, they're making a cage... And at the time, it was probably Andrew suited. But, I mean, most of their stuff is for, like, CAMs and or Motorsport Australia or AASA.
Yeah.
Not quite so much drag racing. It's a little bit of a different animal, right?
Yeah, definitely. It was more about the fact that, one, it popped up and it was a bargain, and two, that there was no wait time. You can just bolt it straight in.
Yeah.
You know, then going back now, I'm like, it's going to stay in there permanently. There's no point doing bolting stuff.
Yeah.
once you've been fast once, you're just going to keep on going faster. So there's no point taking it out.
No.
Not for me anyway. Not with the car that you're looking at. It's free.
No,
I don't think anyone
But I
says
mean,
that.
it was still street registered, right?
Yeah.
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 Sorry, I'm just going to grab another drink. You want a drink?
I'm alright for the minute.
I'm good for now.
All right. Don't want a bloke going thirsty. A man's not a camel.
No.
So I then went off and got the chromoly cage put in it.
Yeah.
And then I'm a bit of a sucker for if the car's apart. So the car was apart, and I went.
Oh, while we're there, we might as well.
You know, the windows are out. At this stage, it was pull the harness out, pull the dash out of it, pull the fuel system out of it to do the cage. And I put it on the hoist, and I looked underneath, and I looked to the back of it, and I went, you know, it'd be cool if we got rid of this IRS.
Oh, yeah.
And looking at, the Skyline being IRS, the fact that the tank used to be under there. There is coilovers in there as well. When you remove all that stuff, there's a lot of tub room.
Yeah.
So then it went from we could only put a 25-inch tall tyre on it to now if we do this, we can use some of that guard and actually put a 28 in.
Oh, really? Just with the stop wheel arch?
Yeah. So
Shit.
then I made some phone calls and said, well, it's out getting a cage. Who wants to put a 4-link in this? So made some phone calls and the car ended up at Lee Fallon's Lethal Industries.
Yeah.
And I cannot speak highly enough of that man's work.
Yeah, right on. I mean, a perfect time, right? Because now you can actually tie the cage into the 4-link. You know, like it's one thing to say put a 4-link into a car. You know, we're talking Commodore stuff, all right? But
Or any unibody
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
really,
but they'll put a
let's be honest.
4-link in there and a shortened diff and whatever, just for like to be able to get it a bit lower and get a better stance, and then they end up going fast and they put a cage in later, and it's just not. You know, like you can tie it in, but when you're doing it all at the same time, it's got to be better, right?
I mean, I still did it a little bit backwards because obviously I was more worried about getting the car teched,
Yeah.
which was cage related. So I was like, I booked in for a cage.
So Lee didn't do the first cage, that's right. Yeah, so
Lee didn't do the... Brad Stacey did the cage to start with. Another really top quality job.
Yeah.
And then Lee then tied the 4-link into the existing cage.
Yeah.
And then, he was just like, how far do you want to go? And, went anti-roll, moved Motorsports anti-roll bar and, parallel 4-link track locator and some decent shocks. And then he was like, do you want to go chromoly housing or mild steel housing? And he builds his own housings there.
Oh, right on.
So I went chromoly housing and then it was choose your axles. And I'm very thankful that he said, we'll just do floaters in this.
Yeah.
I think he could see the potential with the car more than I could. I didn't expect it to go to a speed where it was going to need floaters. Then we went 40 spline axles, race products, floaters. The car just come together.
Yeah, like you say, it's probably way overkill for an 850 car.
I was about to jump in and say, you always, you sort of think this is a bit overkill, but you are, honestly, in the long run, you are better off just taking that hit at the start rather than, maybe doing what you think is just going to get you by, and then you're going to sell it at a loss and do it all again anyway. And so the time and the money, you've got to... It's definitely a lesson learnt, isn't it?
Sounds like this fella's got it on the shelf. He's going to sell it for exactly what he needs anyway.
I definitely still did it the wrong way again. Well, not the wrong way at all, but the car is, which we'll get to in a second, is apart again. But, you definitely... I don't think you can really go overkill if you plan on racing.
Yeah.
Because you got the bug. You're gonna go for it.
Yeah.
It's
It's something that your later self definitely thanked your past self for.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
sure.
only like ordering an engine away and a weekend swapping it over until you're, running out. And now we need fire suppression.
You run out of chassis again straight away.
Yeah.
Hey?
Yeah, straight away. So I got that done, and then the car come back, and I went, the plug-in ECU. I want more IOs. I want a keypad. I want a PDM.
Yeah.
And you were having a few drums as well, weren't you? Like
Yeah,
there was some
just-
sort of gremlins that you were chasing that were possibly related to the plug, like the harness and just the
Yeah, it
plug-in
was
style.
when we started to have the cam control and all the stuff like that. It was go a plug-in because it was already down-packed with that. But just in the conversion cars, I don't suggest plug-ins for conversion cars.
Yeah.
You've got to wire it anyway. You might as well, make the harness nice and suit the engine
Because you're
in the
using
car.
a factory harness, like still
Yeah,
a Ford factory
engine harness.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then, some CAN stuff related to missing ABS modules and, speed sensors and airbag modules and all that sort of mobilizer stuff that the plug-in you should be able to turn off. But it was just getting a bit long in the tooth.
Yeah.
Some torque management would be nice and a few other things would be nice. So they released the Nexus, the R5, and I was like, oh yeah, that looks good.
This solves a couple of problems.
Add to cart. So I added that in, and then when that was on its way over, we stood around the front of the car and laughed and said the turbo doesn't really look big enough either. So turbo got changed at the same time.
Yeah, right. So you had a 4202. What did you go to after that?
I went to a 8582.
Was it still a Pulsar? Was it a Pulsar?
Yeah, it was a Pulsar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
That was, middle of COVID. Very hard to get turbos.
Or anything.
Or anything at all. But
Yeah.
Pulsar had turbos, so we went, let's put it on.
Yeah.
They have taken off. Just about every second car has one of those now, and they make power.
Yeah.
Dude, value
There's no
for-
denying it.
Yeah, I was going to say, dollar per horsepower, it's pretty hard to argue. Will you make more horsepower with a Garrett? Probably. How
Or
much?
other ones, but yeah, is it worth it? Probably
Yeah.
not, because how many people are doing max effort stuff in their street car type
Yeah.
stuff? Not a lot.
No.
Cam got one for his. I don't know if I told you.
Yeah, you did, yeah.
I think he got the same one, same
Yeah.
size. So
Yeah, we changed over to CO2 boost control and stuff at the same time as well.
Yeah.
And then did a complete rewire on the car, utilising the PDM and then new body harness and everything anyway.
What was the the biggest difference shifting to a PDM? So, just for those who aren't maybe super aware, can you explain what a PDM is?
Yeah, so the PDM is the power distribution module.
Yeah.
So instead of having all your relays to run your fans, to run your fuel pump, trans brake solenoids or bump, spray the nitrous, CO2 boost control, there's a lot of advantages there.
Yeah.
You don't have any lag from relays. There's less wires, less cable, less parts to fail.
Yeah.
But the main thing is the response time.
Yeah.
less work as well as an electrician, as an auto sparky.
Yeah, there's definitely less work. I mean, there's less stuff to mount. It's all encapsulated into the one.
Because it runs from one single power input, so you don't have to loop it.
Yeah, there's no looping. It's just nicer. It's cleaner.
Yeah.
Then you have your keypad, which becomes a big bonus. You can switch stuff, as well as you got slow start control on your fans.
Yeah.
You've got monster fans and an alternator that isn't amazing.
Oh, the
Gonna
inrush current.
Yeah,
is
it's going to
big.
try and stall it out. So the advantage is you can slow start stuff, and it does make a huge difference.
Yeah.
Um,
So you're getting rid of your entire fuse panel.
Yeah.
Or your fuse box that you would have. Now you've got sort of self restarting fuses.
Yeah.
So like your fuse will pop. I'm using inverted commas. It'll pop, but then it'll also wait 10 seconds for a timeout and then try again.
Yeah, you can calibrate how many times you want to retry
Yeah.
before it'll stop.
Like say you're not using a normal like a 4-pin relay like you'd be used to. Now it's all solid state built into the pin board.
Yeah. It is scary for a lot of people because you can get past the relay given up pretty easy. You can go to the service station and buy a relay if you have a drama.
Yeah.
Whereas the PDM is a little bit scary in that aspect. There's a lot of heat going through the PDM. So
Yeah.
I'd be quite smart with it. They say you can run 3 fuel pumps through them. I didn't. Still
Yeah.
ran relays for those.
Okay.
And then essentials, like stuff we needed the response time.
I was
Use
gonna
the
say,
PDM.
Big dollar, like race cars and stuff. A lot of them you'll see they run 2 PDMs, right? They'll have one down the back of the car, which is dedicated for fuel pumps, maybe like a scavenge pump, and that'll run just like your lights at the back or whatever.
Yeah,
And then
definitely.
they'll have another one at the front. Yeah.
Definitely like a drag and drive car if you're out of inputs and stuff. It's a lot easier to run your 4 wires. Back to what I was saying earlier about the European cars, they've been doing it forever.
Yeah.
4 wires to the back, and you can control everything from the back. So it's quicker. Once again, it's quicker.
Yeah.
I mean, you lose a little bit in programming time, but, you know, most of the stuff is pretty good.
Yeah, when you're talking OEM people, they don't need to worry about the programming time.
Yeah.
They got people for that.
Yeah. But then you apply that to race cars as well, and it's just quicker.
Yeah, yeah.
So, would you recommend for someone that's sort of wanting to do an ECU install, and if they're considering going to a PDM from like a labour standpoint, as just rough round figures? Obviously, the PDM there's quite a good expense in something that's worth buying, but you might not save all of that, but you'll definitely save some in the install from your end with labour. Is that right?
Yeah, you do definitely save some with install and labour, as well as, you know, you don't have to put another fuse box or another relay box anywhere.
Yeah.
Some of the ECUs are pretty well priced considering you get a PDM inbuilt with a few of them.
Yeah.
Like conversion wise, or like, you know, aftermarket ECU wise, it's quick.
Yeah.
It's a lot quicker. And it's easier for people to do themselves as well.
Yeah, and now that you don't have to go to the big dog R5, you can get an R3 for some of the more basic stuff. It's like, man, it starts making more and more sense, doesn't it?
You start laying out the price between, you know, what they're now 2500 is versus an R3. I think you're pretty silly if you don't go the R3.
Yeah.
At least the R3.
Yeah.
Again, remembering it's much like the cage we were talking about earlier. Is if there's the ability to use something, you're probably going to max it out.
Yeah.
So you need to have a good hard think straight away.
Yeah.
You know,
for
I
sure.
did have an R5 in my car, and it was chockers.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so you pretty much topped it out.
Yeah.
And like you say, you didn't run fuel pumps on the R5.
Yeah.
So that kind of shows you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You can max it out pretty quickly.
Yeah, straight away.
Right on.
So yeah, I changed to the R5, and we did the rewire and back on the dyno and made some more power, changing turbo.
Yeah.
Then we went straight to the track. And
How'd you find like the tuning process going from a plug-in to, because the R5 has the same, well, it has the Nexus software, which is now what they have in the 2500. Essentially, an R5 is a 2500 with a PDM, right?
yeah,
Did you find that getting the car up and running and sorted was probably easier, or?
well, I already had, you know, a map the car was already running.
Right, yeah.
So we could load in fuel ignition
Yeah.
straight over, and then I obviously assigned all the pinouts.
Yeah, for the extra
and-
gear.
Yeah, and then we could drive it on the trailer.
Right on.
So it was pretty smooth.
Yeah. Sick.
How much horsepower did you make with that Pulsar? Or, you know, you get it off the dyno, you're about to go to the track. How much horsepower are we talking?
Made over 1200.
1200. And did you turn it up more at the track?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny? Like people get a big wide on about dyno numbers and that, but when you start talking about the people who actually race, right? They get it to a point like, right, that works as 1200. When you get to the track, you start giving it an extra 800 RPM, another 3 degrees of timing. You're probably talking another 100, 200 horsepower in some of these cars. It was an extra 2, 3, 4 pounder boost. Because it loads differently as well, right? The load on the car is different when you're at the track. Dyno's a great tool, particularly a hub dyno these days. They can try and simulate it as best they can, but it's still not the road.
Yeah. At the end of the day, depending on whose dyno cell you're in,
Yeah.
you are in a big heat soaking box.
Yeah. No,
well.
if you're in my dyno cell, mate, they all make 1,000. So.
Like I said, and it's just a tuning tool. It gets you most of the way there, and then you get to the track, and then, you know, you're reading plugs, and you're doing this, and you're doing that. So
Yeah.
We did a cam change, and we got a little bit of interference in the dyno.
Oh,
in
really?
The dyno cell, so it was just like there was no point wasting runs on the dyno.
Nah.
Let's just get to the track.
Yeah. And when you talk probably not so much your engine, because that didn't have like alloy rods or anything, did it?
No.
Nah, but some of these cars that have got alloy rods, like you say, wasting runs on the dyno is a thing, because you've only got, say in some of these engines, you got 50 runs.
Yeah.
If you waste 10 of them on the dyno, that's 10 rounds of racing you're not doing.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to be doing 10 dyno pulls, 40 runs at the track, and then new engine, and then back on the dyno again. It's not going to happen.
Nah, terrible idea. Anyway, we'll go back. You went to the track.
Yeah, and then on just a normal Wednesday night, so the car obviously got teched. I got my license in my other car that I had at the time. I had another car. I got my license, and off the trailer it went 879
Wow.
straight away
Yeah, right on.
a Wednesday night.
Oh,
So
so the
that's-
prep was like on point then, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Fly
Yeah.
paper.
Yeah, cheeky
went-
little street meet. You know, they're putting out the good glue that
Yeah.
night.
Yeah, it went straight down, and we were pretty shocked. The chassis builder was definitely not shocked. He knew what it was going to do.
Yeah, okay.
I was about to mention that. That's probably what the car was probably best known for. It was just, it would go down
Yeah.
most of the time, if not all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Lee did a bang up job.
Oh, for shiz. Yeah.
It definitely knew how to get to the 60.
Yeah, right on.
Then we took the car to Heathkit,
Yep.
and then same deal, basically unloaded
So
off.
did you do many meets in Perth before you went to Heathkit, or you pretty much from that point when the car was sorted, it was like we're heading east?
Yeah, we did that. We did that Wednesday, and then I had some dramas with some wheels. The wheels I had.
Oh yeah.
I had a problem with some beadlock wheels that weren't machined properly.
Yeah. Okay.
So that Wednesday we also ran with a wheel that wasn't exactly round, I guess you could say. So
Oh.
I waited for new wheels, new centers, which took a long time.
Yeah. Okay.
I bought other centers in the meantime, but just the offsets were wrong.
Yeah.
So that basically we waited, and we were just killing time, not using the car.
Yeah.
Then I got I got the centers back. We made one pass on another Wednesday, and same deal, into the 8s.
Yep.
And then got a phone call to go to a tunnel vision track hire at Heathkit.
Yeah.
So I chucked it in the trailer, and I'm not scared of driving, and I just went for it.
Yeah. Right on.
Straight over to Heathkit, and
You went all the way through, didn't you? 40
I
hours
was,
straight or
I
whatever
was
it was?
just I was just about to say, when you say you don't mind driving, what he means is we drove 2 up road train style.
yeah,
Non-stop.
If you weren't driving, you were sleeping.
yeah. And the car wasn't getting turned off when you were fueling.
Yeah.
We
Got to
were.
keep that bitch warm and the aircon
Yeah,
running.
the aircon on, and we had
That's some
one. We had
fucking
one job.
That's some Smokey and the Bandit shit right there, eh?
Yeah,
That's the kind of shit that gets me G'd up.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
Like as much of a non-enjoyable experience it was for you, but it throws me back to the trip to Alice Springs a little bit. But we still stopped and slept for the night. It's like you're next level.
If we had a vehicle that had a bit more space, it probably wouldn't have been so bad.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And if I didn't get sick.
So what you're saying, Jaden, is you didn't pack 4 blokes into a PK Ranger.
Look, if I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not doing 40 hours with you boys in a PK Ranger. All right? You can pay for my new engine. I still ain't getting in that car.
It was torture.
You got a pretty sweet setup though. Like while we're talking the road trip stuff, what does it take to not only go from here to Heathkit in 40 hours, but to run a program like what you've set up now?
Well, now it's changed a little bit because
Yeah.
obviously we're going to race the car.
Yeah.
So I
You're
got
going
myself,
to be doing this trip more often, is what you're saying.
So I started to gear up to do this more often.
Yeah.
You can do it with your open trailer and just everything jammed in the back of your ute, but my plan was to leave the car on the East Coast and fly home.
Yeah.
I work a lot of hours all the time, so it was better for me just to boost over there 40 hours, fly home, go back to work, and then fly back over when, there's a track meeting on or...
Yeah. Losing those couple of days driving can be thousands of dollars, right?
Yeah, when you're working, it's best off, you're best off working.
Yeah. The cost of the flight is chump change. Yeah.
Realistically, when you look at,
And
you need to be
just
back
the
at
time,
work.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's
Just the
time. We're all time poor.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's why driving's good because you can drive all day, you can drive all night.
Yeah.
With 2 of yous and 1 sleeps, it really is easy.
Yeah.
So I had a enclosed at that time, just a cheap entry level enclosed, I guess you could say, and my toolbox and my compressor and all that sort of stuff inside, and enough that if you did have an issue, everything's in the trailer and it's nice and easy to get to.
Yeah. Because you got to maintain it on the road.
They say like your trailer doesn't win your races, but I don't know, definitely makes it easier.
Yeah, yeah. When you've got to maintain it and you're 2,500 k's from your workshop, you've got to take your workshop with you.
Yeah.
And you're interstate, so you need some security there. You can't just leave.
Yeah, you can't leave it
Look,
anywhere.
yeah,
And the
that's
car comes out of the trailer, and as long as you haven't been detoured on some gravel, which we were the last time we went over,
Yeah.
but it comes out the trailer quite nice. And you don't have to stress.
Yeah.
It's just, and especially when you're doing that whole non-stop.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to have to do is stop,
Yeah.
go and check the car all the time, or worry about stuff hitting it, or going past a road train and stuff flicking up or whatever. So we just time monitors on the trailer and close the trailer door, make sure the straps are good, and open it when we get there.
Yeah, happy days. Nah, look, like you say, trailer might not win you races, but tell that to a door slammer team.
Yeah.
Look at how much shit they carry to be successful. If you want to do it, you got to do it right.
Yeah. So yeah, I used that as a little bit of storage for the car at the time when it was over there as well. So it was nice. You can put your swags and stuff, depending on what you're going to do when you get to the track. Some people sleep at the track, so you can, carry stuff to cook with.
Yeah, or you can have some aircon.
Yeah. That one didn't have aircon. I wish it did, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So you've arrived at Heathkit. Now, this is...
Heathkit too.
Heathkit, yeah.
It's not Heathcote.
Yeah.
For all you WA people,
Yeah.
or people
Yeah,
that
no,
aren't from Victoria,
we
learned that fucking quick.
Yeah, we got roasted in the pit camp calling it Heathcote. And this is like, Heathcote? Where the fuck?
Yeah.
Heathkit.
Yeah, we're in Heathkit, not Calder. Don't like Calder.
Yeah.
But this is after it's been
Zhuzhed
up by Lance Warren and his team. What do you reckon of the track?
Yes. It's pretty cool.
Look, man, the facility has some character, right? It's a cool... We're spoiled being close to Perth Motorplex, which is a world-class facility.
Yeah.
Honestly, going out to Heathkit, it's almost cooler.
It's pretty cool out there.
Yeah.
It does.
It's
It's
like
got
in
the
the
hell
middle of
outlaw feel.
Yeah,
hey?
it's in like the
you
middle
know,
of it's in the middle of nowhere, and there's
you
the cow. There's a cow just walking around.
That's what I was about to say. You pan out to the left there, and there's a fucking tumbleweed cruiser.
Yeah.
You don't hang out at the 1,000-foot marker though.
See, when you go... 330. Yeah, the
Oh, is it 330? Is it? Jeff would know.
Yeah, I do, yeah. Because I avoid it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's right. Nah, but you go... Fuck's sake. If you know, you know. When you go to Perth Motorplex, right, you're getting ready to do some racing. But when you get to Heathkit, it almost feels like you're going to do something naughty.
Yeah.
You're like, because it's just like, it's just a different feel, right?
Yeah, it definitely is. Everyone just rolls around whenever they're ready and makes a hit. There's no... Yeah, it's good. It's good for that. It's good for that, especially if you're new to the whole track scenario. And it can be quite daunting at the Motorplex or the big venues with, professional teams there.
Yeah.
Whereas, it's pretty cool for your first kind of go around, and everyone got around it, and there was, the guys from Full Boost there and Jason, and a lot of other shops were there too. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, sick. So how'd you go at Heathkit? There was a few people that were... I think there was people gunning for records at that Tunnel Vision event. Obviously, like when a workshop puts on a thing and they invite you there, you got to be ready to swing for the fence.
Yeah, so we'd only been like higher sort of eights, and we were, it was cold over there compared to what we were used to, so we were taking that into account straight away.
Oh yeah, so
And,
was that a good thing or a bad thing? Because obviously, colder air can be good for your DA, but it gets to a point of diminishing return, yeah?
Yeah, so we were just concerned. Well, we weren't concerned, but just making sure we didn't hurt an engine for no reason, just for being blasé. But we made the first pass anyway and went 8-0.
8-0?
Yeah.
So you've gone
that's what I was
870s in
thinking.
Perth, and you've just gone to 8-0 on the first rip at Heathkit.
Yeah.
Was there obviously would have been a change to the tune-up. But
Yeah, change the tune-up. I
Were
had
you running
the new
more boost or
Just air temp a little bit more boost. I had wheels now that were...
straight?
Yeah, we got to the 60-foot reasonably well, and
Yeah.
straight away, and then we had a laugh with a few of the guys saying, "Oh, it's going to take you ages." I've had cars stuck on 8-0s for a long time, so that was a bit. Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
The next pass went 8-0 again.
Oh, and that's when it really sunk in.
Yeah.
That's like, oh, these blokes, they got my number.
Yeah, and then Dad said, "We'll take the thing home if it goes 8-0 again," and then went straight 790. Yeah, 790 or 78. Yeah, 790, something like that.
Yeah.
792 or something like that.
That would have been a pretty awesome feeling, yeah?
Yeah.
When you got the slip at the time board, you would have just been punching the roof.
Yeah, it it was pretty good.
Yeah.
So what are your 60 foots look like at this point? Because obviously the car's still fairly fresh. Like,
The car's still
you've done
fresh.
What,
I think
is this 2 meets old, really? Like, really? 2 to 3?
Well,
yeah,
it's-
this
it's
is like
street
no,
meets
we're
old.
talking
Yeah,
like
that's what I mean,
we're talking
yeah.
like 5 passes on the car.
Yeah.
Not even meets old.
Yeah.
You know, still haven't done a bar change. Still haven't done anything at this point.
Yeah.
You know,
Is that just because Lee just got it that good? Like, obviously, you've probably made some changes now. Have they? We're maybe jumping forward in the conversation a little bit, but have those changes made leaps and bounds, or was it pretty close right from the get-go?
No, he was on the money.
Yeah, okay. So his calculations, his algorithm for his instant center and all that sort of stuff is pretty well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Weights, everything.
Yeah, right on.
So it went like a 121 to the 60 or something over there.
Yeah, okay.
You know, I was new to it.
For a
trying to work.
1200 horsepower car, 120
Yeah,
odd 60 foot.
I was about to say, did
And
you
this-
get it on the scales
Yeah.
at any point?
Yeah, so it weighed 2950 pounds.
Yeah.
So it starts with a 2, so that's good.
Yeah, you're on the right side of the 3,000 pound. Yeah, but that's
Yeah.
still, once again, not a heavy car, but not a light race car.
Yeah, it's definitely not light in terms of race cars.
Yeah.
You know, but it was funny. You know, you got the boys at Full Boost like, oh, that was the laziest 8-second pass we've ever seen. And you go back and you watch their video, and it is.
Yeah.
Just when it went 8-0, it was just like come up, hardly even grabbed the launch limiter, and I left, and it was just like stood up and just went through the gears and parachute out and went 8-0.
Yeah, right on.
You know, so then we start to learn, you know, launch RPM and
Yeah.
what we can leave with and start to experiment and start to play around with. You know,
Yeah.
we've gone from IRS car to now a live axle car, and we're actually starting to use the car more.
Yeah. Use the equipment that you've purchased.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So that was the biggest, well, that was the best money ever spent on that car was suspension.
Yeah, right on.
Definitely.
And you can spend the end of the earth on suspension these days.
Yeah.
Because people are seeing results from it. You know, like it's pretty key to, particularly when you're talking about a radial car. It's probably look, I'm talking out of my ass here. It might not be quite as crucial in a rag tyre car because you're using the tyre as suspension to a point. But you know, when you're talking a radial car, it's got to be right. You got to be hammering that thing down to the ground, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, it's really well set up. You know?
Yeah.
And still, the shocks aren't ridiculously expensive shocks on the back of it.
Yeah.
It's still got the IDS shocks in the front. And
Yeah.
it's like it still did the whole way through. When we got it back to Perth, then we just went faster again.
Yeah, okay.
So you definitely can't say that it went faster because we were at Heathkit.
I'm
It
sure
was-
you got that though.
Yeah.
Like when you were coming home, people said, "Oh, yeah, it's just because of the track you went
Yeah.
fast." When you came home, you backed it up.
Yeah, so it was good to come back and do, as a private hire, we come back and we ran a 7 in Perth 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
So it went like 792 and 792 in Heathkit, 794 in Perth.
Yeah.
And then we took it to Sydney, and when I always wanted to go to Sydney for Midnight Mayhem. So
Yeah.
we drove for Midnight Mayhem. Unfortunately, the event got cancelled literally as we were rolling into Sydney.
Oh, spew.
Due to lack of entries, it was.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it wasn't even weather, it was lack of entries.
So you drive all the way over there, and you get blue balled on the worst possible
That's
condition.
a pretty tough pill to swallow. isn't
Oh,
it?
surely they could have just given someone a free entry.
So we ended up, we got refunded for the event, but then we paid to do the Street 20 test days.
Oh, yep.
And then, you know, then that was pretty cool. I always wanted to go to Sydney, and we turned it up a little bit more, put the launch RPM up a bit more, and went 780s.
Wicked. So the Sydney track itself is a mirror image of the Perth blueprint.
Pretty-
right? They're more or
Pretty
less
much.
the same. Yeah.
Some
It
little
looks
bits,
almost identical.
some bits flipped, but yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
They've got a bar right near where the start line is. That's pretty cool.
That's what we need is a bar near the start line.
Look, it's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
I don't know if we need it, but it's not a bad idea.
Well, look, the aim of the game long term is it'll be racing, so we probably wouldn't be using the bar until later on anyway. But
But the trend I'm picking up here is you guys are sort of like getting it. I I don't know if I'd say easy, but it's like it's just responding every time you
Oh,
take
yeah,
it
definitely.
out.
It's
you're
pretty-
changing something and it's responding, which isn't obviously always the case.
Yeah,
always the case.
it was like very easy. It was very easy. We're making the smallest, lamest changes, and the thing
Yeah.
would just go faster.
Again, it's probably just a credit to investing the money in the right spot with the right people, right? So, like,
Yeah.
you bought the 40 spline diff, you bought the cage that you probably didn't need, you put the Nexus ECU that you probably could have done without.
Yeah.
But he needed all that within about 6 runs. So.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
And
exactly.
It
'Cause-
wasn't even like the venues, and yeah, we drove the car a ridiculously amount of Ks to go and make laps and bugger all laps at places. But the car had been, we were back 2019 with Race Wars, and the car's had next to zero use, and it's been apart. So it's together, and I'm just like, where's the event? Let's go.
Yeah.
The car hasn't been used for so long, so we were just taking it as many places as we possibly could to use it as much as we could.
Yeah. So the Silverado on the trailer are pulling into the track. Doesn't matter which track. Could be Perth, Heathkit, Sydney, whatever.
Yeah.
How did you feel as a new drag racer? You've been doing a bit of racing here and there, but as a new drag racer, someone who's starting to, get results, how did you feel like, what was the community like?
Well, I guess it's a bit different because we haven't been heads up racing.
Yeah.
Purely because
It's mostly test and tune stuff.
Yeah, purely because there wasn't heads up racing. I hadn't done any at the time, and there was just the events we were trying to go to. It got cancelled, so now it's just a test and tune. So what do? We just do the test and tune, and then much like when we get back to Perth, they had another test and tune of events throughout the winter that we did. So we didn't race anyone per se, but we were just, I guess you could say, chasing records.
Yeah.
But we weren't. We were just trying to get as many laps on the car and get a handle on the car as much as we could, and then see how fast we could go.
But those other people are still here at the test and tunes as well. I mean, you're
Yeah,
not racing them
it's-
because, like you say, the races aren't on, but they're there and they're watching you. What was their reaction? Was their reaction, oh, you're just chasing records, or were they starting to get around you a bit?
No, it was good. That's what I'm saying, because you're
Yeah.
not racing against anyone. It's just like a big group. It's pretty cool.
Yes.
Everybody's like, high-fiving everybody when you run a PB, and everyone sort of catches on pretty quickly what your cars are running, and they'll straight away go, yeah, that's moving out.
Yeah, I'd like to hope that, like, if you're jumping into a sport and you're showing that you're committed to, like, you're not just, say, like, in the days of old, you had your checkbook races.
Yeah.
People who just bought a car, and they just rocked up on the day, and they paid someone to do everything for them. You know what I mean? Like, you're clearly not a checkbook racer. You're someone who's, like, invested in it, and you're keen to learn, and you've built the car yourself in your own workshop with your dad, obviously with the help of some professionals.
Yeah.
But no, it's good to see that they didn't just sort of fob you off straight off the bat.
No, it was pretty cool, and everyone was very interested in the car. Obviously, it's new. It was new to drag racing around
And it's
there.
a weird combo for a
Yeah.
drag racing car being like a Barra-powered R33 with a glide. Like,
Yeah, because, I mean, the RB is a fucking fantastic platform. Let's not get it twisted, really.
Yeah.
I would say the RB is a better platform than the Barra personally, I think just how it is. It's obviously got a lot more support and stuff like that. But, yeah, different car, but it worked.
especially when you're in Sydney, Matooks would have walked past and be like, "Oh yeah, I built." Hang on, no, I didn't. What's the go here?
No, you're not on their levels. You ain't run sixes. Back in the trailer.
Yeah.
I needed to put that Falcon badge back on the front or something like that to blend in.
Yeah.
And we're not
Add
running.
another £1,000 to your weight.
Yeah. Some more doors.
So how far did this combo progress?
So we went in Perth. We went 758
Yeah.
at 181, and it went 113 to the 60.
113 to the 60. That's impressive. Because that's still at about 29.50 pound. Like, you haven't changed.
Yeah, I put at that stage when it PB'd, it was exactly how we took it to Sydney.
Yeah. Right.
Or how, same as Heathkit, same as when it was finished. Yeah.
So you just got that chassis set up, tyre set
It
up.
seems like you just took big chunks most times you took it out, really.
Yeah, we did.
For how many laps you've done, you're starting at 870 and within, how many months? Or is it a year?
No, it was weeks.
weeks between an 870 and a 750.
750.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that is fucking retarded.
I say weeks. It's probably like 2 months, 8 weeks.
That's silly.
Yeah.
So it did fill pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So that was definitely rewarding.
How far from the limiting factor do you reckon you were at 758?
Depends who you ask, I guess.
Yeah.
You know,
But
everybody
from your
has
experience, like you say, you're getting opinions left, right, and centre. You've probably got your chassis guy, you've got your tuner, you've got your gearbox or converter guy or whatever. Like, where do you feel like
The ultimate potential, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, like butt dyno. How much further do you reckon you can get it?
I ran into some issues with like ratios, gear ratios, rear final drive ratio.
Oh, okay.
So there was, we were turning the engine pretty hard. Again, stock crank, no grout block. A lot of people probably don't know.
Did it have like a girdle or anything?
Yeah, it had a girdle and stuff on it.
It was a street car. It was your typical street car rod and piston engine.
Yeah,
like,
it was
something very similar to
firing, I guess, would be your only difference in your step up from a street engine, but basically a street
But
engine.
it's still
I think it's basically the same motor as what Cam has in his F6.
Probably.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it's like a let's call it a 1200 horsepower package, which at this point is probably pushing 1700 horse.
I don't think quite that much.
You don't think so?
Nah, probably not.
I
quite that
didn't
much.
do the Morosso math, but
The 60, the fact that the car gets to the 60 foot so fast was, where all your advantages are. I guess you can look at the mile an hour as well. Like 181's obviously not slow.
yeah.
Um,
So mile an hour and weight, that'll get you pretty close on the Morosso scale to tell you sort of where it lays. If if you're sitting there watching, just jump on Google real quick. Let us know.
yeah.
There would be people that have similar combos that have taken years to not make it there.
yeah.
Hey? Like that's, even though I've heard the story, it still baffles me a little bit now, honestly.
Yeah.
To get it done that quick, like.
Yeah,
it's so crazy how just the right people.
Yeah, you can definitely.
At the right time with the right parts. It's just, you just cut out all that bullshit, that 12 or 18 months possibly of whatever.
Yeah.
People have obviously done, they've done this. People know what works.
Yeah.
We didn't have the whole book of exactly what we needed, but we involved the right people, I guess, and we didn't have the dramas, The harness and everything was all brand new that I did. Any faults that would pop up, I knew exactly what to do.
Wire.
Exactly what colour the wire was going to be, where it was going to be. Same deal with every single bolt on the car. I put them all in, so I know exactly what size spanners to get. It's, Japanese, and then, you got 15 mil and 13 mil, and then you don't ever get those sizes on Japanese cars. So, you know exactly what, and then Imperial on the gearbox. So, you know exactly what spanners to throw underneath the car when you got it up on the jacks.
Yeah. Got to say, man, like it's spending a couple of weeks hanging around doing some stuff with Kurt's car. You are just by nature you're a bit of a go-getter. It's like if there's a problem, you're just going to be like, let's just get stuck in.
That's got to come from the old boy, just from working with him from obviously when you're a pup.
Yeah.
He's raised you obviously, and you've worked with him, and he's that's just what you know. That's how young Jaden was programmed. It was you're going to do something, you fucking do it properly. That's what we've picked up.
Yeah. You've held the torch wrong one too many times, and you told yourself you're never doing it again.
Just you only got a limited amount of time, so let's just get it done. And we don't. If you enjoy something, it makes it a hell of a lot easier.
And if you're talking racing, like you've been doing a lot of test and tune stuff, but if we start talking racing, you've got time between rounds to get shit done.
Yeah.
So, practice like you're going to perform on a race day.
Yeah, exactly right.
So you've hit the 750s. Now, I guess, what do you do from there, and what makes you change to what you're doing now? Because you've had a change of direction. Very recently.
You've hit a crossroads or a fork in the road. So explain to us.
I guess most people would say that it's crazy, ridiculous after what we were all talking about with wins and wins of it takes years, or it can take years to knock seconds off, let alone tenths every pass. But I decided that to reliably race the car, I needed to do like a ratio change straight away. We're starting to run into some scenarios with being out of intercooler, potentially being out of turbo, I would have liked to add a few more sensors on the car as it is, and then as you heard before, when I have the car apart, it's a dangerous time to be one, my wallet, and two, the car.
Yeah.
Because it's apart. It's like, oh, let's just put a crank in this thing while it's
why
apart,
would it?
like, why wouldn't you put a crank in it? And then let's put some grout in it too.
Yep.
So
It's like you're me.
yeah, I bought a lot of, I got a lot of stuff ready to go to, organise with what I was going to do. Spoke to some people, we're going to go big turbo, some grout, watered air, maybe some ethanol. Keep running the engine we got.
Because that's kind of how we started hanging out, a lot more. Obviously, we'd met each other in a long, long time ago doing work on Euphorbia and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then, you called me up one day where I was out on holidays and said, we want to put a big fucking pro mod. I can't remember what you wanted to put on.
Yeah, 8894.
Yeah, you wanted to put something on. Do you want to do a manifold and a thing?
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
That was kind of the phone call. I guess I don't like to say, we're going to half do a job, but I was like, we've got a manifold and we're just going to do water to air, 8894, and some ethanol, and let's just see what it does. And then I got Kurt to come around, he had a look. Was like,
so he rang me on I think it was a Friday, maybe?
Yeah.
Thursday or Friday, I was away.
Kurt was keen. He's like, I'll be there first thing Monday. I'll be there Monday after work. So I'm a little bit, I tell Kurt I'll be there at 5:30. I'm a little bit late. Kurt's probably wondering where I am. I get there and say, I'll show you what the plans are, but we're not doing that
they've already
anymore.
changed. I haven't even got out the car yet. I'm in the driveway. He's like, oh, look, we're not doing what I said, but come and have a look anyway.
Hang on. Just got a obligatory.
Oh.
Sounds so good on the mic.
Yeah.
So what did you decide?
So a few podcasts earlier, I heard you guys talking about, we're talking about Godzillas and coyotes and stuff. So I thought, this might be the right time to, let Kurt know that.
Yeah, and because
you might be interested in this.
Because Kurt's the voice of reason, you went with the Godzilla, obviously.
Yeah. Kurt was like, go Cubes. Now I didn't go Godzilla. I decided that I could continue with the Barra, but I wanted to go proper, and then to go proper was billet block, and I wanted to go dry deck and a few other things. And realistically, there aren't, you can look around, there are lots of guys making 2,000 horsepower, but there also isn't.
Yeah.
And how many of them are doing laps after lap at the moment? I'm not saying that it's not happening and it won't ever happen, but I wanted, with the rapid success of the car before, I wasn't really keen on the whole, we're going to do this and then we're going to experiment. I wanted something.
I was going to say, you didn't want to be someone's guinea pig. You kind of wanted to...
Yeah.
Keep the reliable. I mean, you're stepping up to get some more reliability. You don't want to step into a more expensive and equally unreliable combo at a higher horsepower level.
Exactly.
So you started watching a bunch of 1320, Cletus, and Sick Week, and you went, fuck, that Brett LaSala is one good-looking rooster.
Yeah. I went, let's add some more cylinders. Let's only add a litre, and I like RPM, so that's what I went for.
Yeah.
I went for a Coyote. So I decided, that was going to be it. And then it was, is a Coyote going to fit? Yeah, of course it's going to fit. We'll just keep cutting until it does fit.
That's one of Jeff's sayings.
Yeah.
He says all the time, cut your way in and weld your way out.
Yeah.
He says that to me, and I'm like, yeah, righto, Shag.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that easy, Quick, easy job for you.
Well, it's worked out fine for me so far.
So I pulled the Barra out, and on the market it went. Pulled the Power Glide out, on the market that went. And same deal with all the electronics. So I like to do things twice, as you probably worked out now.
Yeah.
So the car will get another rewire.
So you've sold the Haltech R5.
Yeah. So the Haltech R5's gone, my Power Glide's gone, the Barra's gone, and then all the other stuff like turbos, intercoolers, everything. So
nothing's going to suit, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So you're back to the free roller, basically, with a cage and a clip in it.
Yeah, I wish it was still a free roller.
Yeah. Hey, look, that thing owes you fucking nothing at this point.
Yeah, let's
be honest.
You pull it apart and you have a look at it and you go, man, this was a running car and it was so good. Now look at it. It's kind of sad.
It went 758 and it still had so much potential.
You're looking at it and you go, 5 years ago I got this thing for free, and now you're looking at the thing dusty, roller sat in the shed for the minute.
Look, let's not say it was free. Let's make ourselves feel better and say you had to pay $1,500 for it.
$1,500 car. And you're looking at it and you're going, geez, I spent some money in some places on this already, haven't I? I I can't really quit on this car.
No.
I don't want to quit on this car. It's different.
So the thought never crossed your mind to try a different chassis, or
Oh, I definitely did. Definitely did. You think, I can sell this and, buy something else.
Imagine,
especially it's well sorted.
I was going to
Yeah.
say, selling it as a 750 car, I mean, you're certainly not going to get back every cent you made. Every cent you spent.
I guess it depends. You paint yourself into the corner a little bit there. Like, I don't know what the market's like, but anybody after a Barra 33 Skyline that's
Yeah,
caged with a 4-link in it,
it's a narrow
doesn't
market.
get much more
niche.
picky than that.
Yeah,
you know?
I was going to say, the Barra boys want an FG.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they've already invested a lot into their
Yeah, most of the
platforms,
guys that have quick Falcons is because they're stuck with their Falcon because of how much money they've spent on it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what chassis were you considering? If you were, let's play hypotheticals. You let the 33 go. What would you start with?
That was what I couldn't answer, really.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. We
To
don't get
choose-
Fox bodies.
Yeah.
Makes it hard.
He's got the Japanese
I
Fox
do
body
have,
right
and that's kind of what it come back to in the end.
And we got an Aussie Fox body right
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Was shape and weight, and you look at credit to the guys who have made them run so fast with IRS, and
So the more you thought about it, the more it made sense just to stick with it.
pretty
Yeah, right
much,
on.
yeah,
So what's the combo then? So it's Coyote.
yeah.
What did you went with a billet block Coyote?
Nah, so it's still a cast forward
Yeah.
block.
Because I think it was an MMR. They do a
Billet one, yeah, but it was. Got to be careful not to get too excited and
Yeah.
go overboard on the budget as well, and you want to be able to use the car. So I went a cast block with Dalton sleeves,
Yep.
standard Boss crank still,
Yep.
and then some decent forward heads.
Yeah.
Um,
What's the go-to with the Coyotes? Like, say, you've got people who are running good numbers in the States and whatnot. I don't know if there's a couple here in Australia that's probably still in its infancy a little bit, but from your research, what is the go-to if you were going to make a big dog Yodi?
Yeah, definitely. It's all research because I wish mine was going yet, but we're not quite there yet.
Yeah.
But, like Predator, you can go like Predator block, dance sleeves and billet crank, or you can run standard crank up until the power, Jump on the internet, you have a look. And the guys who push the standard crank stuff a long way also have a lot of knowledge and a lot of skills and a lot of monitoring on board, and they do monitor stuff flat out.
Yeah, I was going to say data acquisition is key when you're doing research and development.
Yeah. So, GD500 heads, still a lot of factory forward parts, which is what makes the Coyote really cool. It's high revving, a lot of factory parts, and that's what kind of drew me to that.
Yeah.
Was
It's a perfect turbo motor, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really, with the cubic inches and the CFM potential that those cylinder heads can flow. It's kind of almost a cheat code in a way.
And what were you saying the other day? I think if you went to a Ford service, you can get a crank in the States for $500.
yeah, I don't know what it's like now, but yeah, it was. I think that the internet ruins all good things, but I'm sure they've put the price up on them now. But yeah,
I'll just beep that out. All right.
Yeah, you could get cheap parts, and I'm pretty sure you still can.
Yeah, right.
Much like the Barra in a way, the standard crank would go so far.
Yeah.
So, what's the horsepower potential of sort of what your combo is? You've got a lot of factory parts. It's a fairly sensible combination, really, in the whole scheme of things.
So, sensible, but we're going, not to pull the rug out, but plasma man intake, 16 injectors. What size turbo are you going to run?
I'm still deciding either 76, 75s or 78, 80s, depending.
Yeah, yep.
And then maybe bigger, but
Yeah.
realistically, you don't have to go huge, and that's where the big win with the Coyote is.
I think they've gone like deep sevens with 68mm turbos.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
easily,
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably even faster.
They've
eh?
gone faster, yeah.
Yeah.
I think they've gone 690s with turbos in the 60s.
Yeah, so I
Yeah,
guess
yeah.
that's,
Yeah.
so you're basically on the hunt for sixes now.
Yeah.
With what you've planned to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then again, power is really whatever it's going to do to run a 6.
Well, the vibe that I'm getting from you, and another thing that I admire about you, is you're not after a horsepower number. From the very start of this build, you set a goal of 300 Ks at Race Wars, and whatever horsepower it was going to take to get that is what you wanted. And that's something that we preach here on the potty as well, is don't be a dyno queen. Don't be going, oh, I want 1,500 horsepower. 1,500 horsepower for what?
Yeah.
You know, like, it's got to be a practical application goal. So
Combination.
your goal is not to make 2,500 horsepower, it's to run 6.
Yeah, well,
and if that takes 2,500 horsepower, well, then that's what you're going to find.
Exactly right. Well, the goal is just to run faster than what it did.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Like, realistically, it just needs to run faster than what it did, and then we'll start to smash it in
It'll
there.
do what it'll do, and then you'll find the weak
Yeah.
link, and you go that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know
That's the
now,
snowball.
now we'll have some fun with weight now.
Yeah.
You know, obviously we've got to put a coyote in there, but the block's aluminium, the Barra's cast, so we've got a little bit of weight up our sleeve there.
I was going to say, is there a big weight difference between the two, or
Very similar.
very similar? Oh,
Yeah.
that's pretty good. Pretty
Yeah.
good start.
So
What's going to be behind the Yodi?
got a 3-speed 400.
Yep. Turbo 400?
M&M, yeah. Pro Torq converter.
Lock up?
No lockup.
No lock up.
Dumps, but no lockup.
Yeah, okay, yep.
The budget didn't allow.
I was
for
going
that
to say,
one.
how much was
Yeah.
it for the lockup option?
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much extra it costs, but I know it's a fair bit.
It's a lot of money. It's like there's like a power glide in there for a lockup
Oh, shit.
in cost.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I know those
So-
the converters are
Yeah.
cheaper.
Yeah.
But tell you what, the transes, you know, that you can get even without a lockup, it's pretty impressive what you can do with them now. Like you say, when you got the dump setups and all that kind of stuff, it's a weird kind of magic they can work with.
Yeah. So I mean that's definitely not on the cards not off the cards for later on. You know, you can always do that, but for now it's more I want to use the car again.
Yeah.
So the main thing I'm focusing on now, not the main thing, but it has gone back to the chassis shop.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It got dropped off today, and I've taken some before photos, and yeah, we'll update you when we start seeing holes in the floor and holes in here and holes in there. And
Well, thankfully, you've already got a 40 spline floater diff, so
Yeah.
you don't need that.
yeah,
But I'm assuming now it's going to be funny car cage.
yeah,
Yeah.
a bit more safety.
I think in the US sort of stands, what they call that, a 25-2 cage, or it'd probably be different in Australia, I'm assuming.
Something like that, I think. But, you
Yeah.
know, like we can't, if we took our cars to the US, it's not allowed to run faster than like 850 as it was with the cage in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, anything 850 and SFI, as soon as you go past 850, everything has a funny car hoop on it.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fucking.
And here you can run 850 with a bolting cage.
Yeah, but then if you have a ute, it's even different again. I've learnt that with Lauren with the
Yeah.
Maloo project. It's like, oh, it's a ute, it's different. It's fucking real funny. There's a bit of
Australia is
funny
strict
business.
with everything over the US, apart from race cars.
Yeah, right on.
You know?
So what, I guess, yeah, this you're now starting to think safety, right? You've obviously overspent on a lot of stuff for the past combo. You bought stuff that was very capable for what you were doing. You know, like you were underutilizing the resources that you had, but now what are the things that you're having to rethink in now that you're going, right, I want to go faster, what do I need?
It's mainly safety-wise is mainly just the cage.
Yeah.
And then obviously then everything else is stiffening and performance-wise that we're going to do to the car.
Yeah, right on.
You know.
And-
You
and-
already had fire suppression in the car?
Yeah.
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 And then as the help, you know, you like what we always say, pick your tune guy or whatever. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you've mentioned, but you've gone to the Dominator, Holley
Nah.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Haltech stuff's gone and you've gone to Holley.
Yeah.
Talk us through it.
So, yeah, then, you know, we were talking about PDM and stuff before. Now we've gone to a Holley, which doesn't have PDM on board. So we'll
That
run-
would have been a bitter pill to swallow.
Oh, yeah.
Why
Yeah.
did you go to the Holley, Jaden? Tell us why.
Um,
We know why, but the people
like
won't know
these
why.
guys preach, you choose your guy and you choose your box.
Yeah.
You choose your guy and he tells you the box.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's pretty
that's-
much what happened. And then,
And-
then he takes the money out of your wallet. Nah, not,
And
really.
you, can't,
not
you
really.
couldn't do it a better way.
Yeah.
I'm a fresh Holley conversion guy, and if I had realised it was going to be like this, like obviously I can't thank you enough and Jeff enough just for helping with everything. It's been a bit of a slog the last couple of weeks, but fuck, like the difference from what we had and what we've got, and just how easy and how I can't stress enough how helpful Jeff is just over the phone.
He's not talking about me either.
Yeah, the real Jeff, not the drag and drop Jeff. Honestly, it's true. It is what it is. You pick your guy.
Yeah.
You get someone as good as him that's helpful, happy to help, genuine, and knows his shit.
Stress
Probably one
free.
of the best. Yeah.
So you haven't necessarily switched from Haltech to Holley, but what you have switched is you are now going to be employing the help of Jeff Johnson with your program.
Yeah.
What drew you towards using power management solutions?
Oh, just the change, from the Barra. Previous, we were at Monster Torq before, and Rob does Barras, and he knows Barras.
Obviously, it worked. Yeah.
Yeah, to the absolute moon. And when I decided to change over, predominantly we're just going to race the car.
Yeah.
And that's all we're going to do with it. So guys that are at the track all the time, and I just kind of put the feelers out there and see who was interested. And Jeff's always at the track. He's dedicated and he wants to do it. And Rob's going to continue with his Barra stuff.
Yeah.
And he's really good at that. So he'll continue to race his Barra stuff, and I'll move over to the Coyote platform with Jeff.
Yeah. So I think when you start looking at Coyote platforms, a lot of the guys are running Motec stuff. You didn't think to run a Motec, or is it just because your experience at the track and that's the face that you see that that can help you out?
Yeah, just like what we said before. Just
There's no wrong answer, is there?
There's
no wrong guy. It's just sort of who you're vibing, like anything. You just who you're vibing with or whatever.
For me, it didn't really matter because it's wise. Like, it'd be pretty embarrassing if I didn't wire my own car, So it didn't matter what box.
You're going to have to put a few more wires in now.
Yeah, it didn't matter what ECU was going to be in it. I could have easily just changed and put whatever in. So the Holley was just,
Yeah.
Lots of people rave about it. There are some Coyote support. Lots of guys do have them on Coyotes in the US. Guys in the US have Haltech on them. It's not anything against any of their software or any box or anything. It's just that, that's what the guys I spoke to said, and they're more confident on that ECU, so that's what we went with.
Yeah. So what equipment do you need to use? You're starting off with the Dominator as a base.
Yeah.
What extra stuff do you need to run something at the level that you're looking at running?
Lots.
I was going to say, the Dominator's got a lot of I.O., but does it have enough?
No,
it's probably got enough I.O., but there's
a lot of other stuff,
Yeah.
Everything that I had for my Haltech, basically.
Yeah, okay.
We had to go again, EGT boxes, more injectors.
Dashboard.
Yeah, dashboard, everything.
You're looking at running a CDI box as well, is that right?
Yeah, there's tossing up with it at the moment. Probably going to run that too, as well as a high wire PDM, because Holley doesn't have an inbuilt PDM.
No.
I've been spoilt with the PDM now, so why would I not show it off in my own car?
Yeah.
So that's what we'll do, as well as the ability to link it with the Holley as well, with some reduce some wires like what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
When
like I say, there's 4 wires. There's positive, negative, can high, can low.
Yeah.
And then you can link the ECU to the dash, to the EGT, to the CDI, and it's all very minimal wiring.
Yeah, obviously stuff that you want fast response out, you wire directly.
Yeah.
But stuff that you can handle a little bit of lag, you'll go over the CAN network.
What experience have you had with the Holley so far, other than none?
My car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was your initiation, wasn't it?
Yeah. Kurt said, I got this killer deal on a Termi X.
Which I did. I got a fucking killer deal. $500. I was losing money at that.
Now tell them why it was $500.
So the whole reason that the car has ended up.
I don't want to shit on you, but that's kind of why we created the podcast.
I sent it to Jaden. I said, look at this. It's $500 and the 5-volt reference, the 5-volt power.
The supply, yeah.
The supply is doesn't work. But the dude that had it was using a 5-volt from a stock ECU. I was like, what do you reckon?
So
Jaden being the bloke, he's like, fucking no worries. Buy one of these little converter boxes and I'll fucking wire it up for you.
So it can run everything except for any sensors.
Well, it's running all the sensors because I spent like $20 on a little box, which took 2 seconds for Jaden to wire in, and we're good.
It was almost too good to be true. I'm not going to lie. We're wiring
Honestly,
it up, and I'm saying to him, man, this was $500. You reckon it's going to power up or not?
That's
we're
what
having,
we were
we're
like-
having a joke. We're like,
Yeah.
oh, Jeff's got HP at home.
Yeah.
Jaden's got a
would've
Dominator at
something.
home. Like, oh, we've got another Dominator at home as well. Oh, I reckon if this doesn't power up, it looks like you're just going to have to cop
Yeah,
an
I'm just going
upgrade
to have
here.
to buy HP. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just going to be on the upgrade train, but nah. Cheap 5-volt box and some wires and
Yeah. I bought a flying lead harness, so it's,
Yeah. So
it's
bought a
definitely
Holley
not
harness.
your typical Terminator install, because usually you get your terminated harness that's fucking generic and already got the length set. We've got a very nice, fully custom made harness to suit my setup now, which is it's a huge improvement over what we had. Jerome did a fucking fantastic job with the harness that I provided him to get that thing started, and I don't regret doing any of what we had already previously done.
Yeah.
But it's just definitely, I can't even tell you how much more happier I am. Just
No, you
we took
definitely-
it for the first drive, all us three, the other night, and we got it on boost. It was the slowest fucking thing ever, and we probably shouldn't even been laying into the boost considering the wideband wasn't working and this. But once again, Jeff, he gave us a map, and it never ran better. I cannot believe how, like, we literally first hit of the key, wasn't we? Once we got the proper tune loaded in with the coil on plug, started instantly. It was the timing was a fair bit off, but other than that, it started instantly, and it was all just little shitty issues with previous stuff with wiring and just just old car stuff.
Yeah.
So it was fucking so smooth and easy. I'd recommend it to anyone, honestly. I really would.
Nah, props to you, man. Like Kurt was saying, you purchased a harness with your Link ECU, which was in another car, and that was kind of what we used. And
I bought it because it had a tune and it was
Yeah,
set up for
yeah.
my car. If I had known that I could just buy a fucking ECU
For $500
and get a harness and have like Jaden, he gets most of the credit. He's just knocked the harness out and he's helped me out like a lot. And so I've got a good mate that's helped me with the wiring and stuff. And we hit the key like. If I hadn't known it was going to be like that, I would have paid 3 times the amount of money I have, 4 times, 5 times to get that result as quick as I did. And we're not even on the dyno yet.
No, that's right.
So,
but no, what I was saying was, Jerome did a ripper job getting the car running with the harness that you had, but then stand back and look at it, and we were impressed with it then. Like, wow, this looks great. But now we stripped that whole harness out. You've used the Holley unterminated harness. We've made a custom...
Or the flying lead harness,
a true custom harness for your setup. Dude, you stand back. It wasn't until it was actually done and running, we stood back, looked at the engine bay. I looked at you, Jaden, and I was just like, fuck, that looks way better. That looks way better, dude. Like, you've done a ripper job on it. Like, honestly, it
still needs a lot of tidying up, but from the wiring side of it, it's
a credit to your
killer.
skills, man. What did you think of the Holley harness? Like,
the Holley harness there, the flying lead harness. It was good quality, and we just used what we did, and we didn't put anything extra. And we were smart about it. It's not a race car; it's a street car.
Yeah.
So we were just smart about it. We use DTMs and DT plugs and everything where we needed, and the factory plugs are all brand new, and it's got LS coils on it with Delphi plugs and stuff. But we didn't go ridiculous. We've just been smart about it.
Yeah.
We did it over 3 or 4 days over Christmas, and I can't really fault it. It was good.
It was just, I think, for you, it was a bit of a learning curve at the start with just like the wiring with some of the none of the colours are labelled and stuff like that. That was just compared to, say, maybe not as easy off the get-go right at the start with
just like
setup,
come from the Heltec one where you got like all your DPOs and SPIs and AVIs all labelled. You just kind of grab them and run your handfuls where you need to be and build a lot of it on the floor real quickly.
Yeah, and even their book is like very good with their pin-out map and everything.
Yeah, and then just from ECU to ECU, you've got stuff that switches positive, stuff that switches negative. So you just got to be aware.
Yeah.
So
it's a good product though. The software interface looks very sort of like Windows-esque or like very like.
Yeah.
It was fucking hilarious when you guys were trying to figure out, what was it? It was the pin out?
Yeah, we were just trying to, the pre-pin outs that Jeff had put in for us, and then we'd had to change around running the water pump and stuff. We just needed to change some things.
Yeah,
and we felt like some
it
clowns.
was dragging out a little bit, wasn't it? It was a miracle we got that car on boost that night because I was of no help whatsoever. So I was ticking away on the Maloo, building some turbo manifolds, and you boys were trying to figure out this Davies Craig controller that just for some reason stopped wanting to fucking control.
Yeah, so the water pump and the thermo fans were running on a Davies Craig electric water pump controller, which
worked flawlessly before.
For all intents and purposes is a great unit. However, we're having trouble, and it was, I don't know what was fucking wrong with it. We still don't know. It doesn't fucking matter because we decided to be normal people and run it through the ECU like a normal person, and which took bit of fucking around, particularly when it's already 10 o'clock at night and we've decided to change the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you got two half-brain monkeys sitting at the laptop going... trying to figure out what the fuck to do. And
it turns out you needed to get more primitive to get
exactly,
to work.
Yeah. It was even easier. We were trying to make it hard for ourselves. It was way easier than it was meant to be. So
coming from a software that you can just click and search to one that's even dumber that you just drag and move.
Yeah. No, it was good. And then, literally, like you say, hit the key, fired up once we got the throttle position calibration done.
But even before that, it's still... I had a slight hunt.
Yeah.
But it idled sweet. And like the very first thing I noticed, and you boys remember, I sort of just like let it warm up a bit and just give it a bit of gas. And it was... the response, like it just had never revved like that before. I guess the other tune was just that.
It was
bad.
so doughy, and even now driving the car, it's got not enough timing, nowhere near enough timing. It can be way sportier. It's got next to no boost in it.
It's literally a file that was sent over the internet. I was going to say, fucking no knowledge. We shouldn't have been driving it how we were, honestly.
You'll see a lot of this in
Christmas.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll see all this in a future episode when we sort of go through it. The changeover to the Holley setup, but we literally got a file emailed to us from Power Management Solutions, which fired the car and it ran flawlessly. You can't get better than that. So it's pretty much a testament to why you would go Holley, because if that man says use a Holley, then you use a Holley because he can make it work.
It's the same with everything. It's not the product, it's the support.
Yeah. And that's going to be the next big thing. Obviously, you're going to be spending more time at the track. You want someone who's going to be present, who's going to be standing at the start line and wanting the car to progress further and further. I'm sure, being that you're going to be one of very few people pushing the Coyote platform in Australia, not just WA, but in Australia, he's going to probably, as any tuner, wouldn't you want to be at the forefront of that?
Yeah, it's a cool engine, and it's a good opportunity for everybody. I mean, there's going to be lots of them pop up, no doubt, very shortly.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
No. It'd be good for us because like we're sort of all gone to the Holley side now. So, like many minds make it easy. So we'll be able to all bounce off each other with right. how we're doing stuff.
Yeah. Having the track support's one thing, but having a network of other people who can also help is another, which is going to be great. But this is going to mean a lot more late nights for you, Curto. You're going to have, like you say, you're going to have to grind your way in and weld your way out, right?
Yeah, that's it. So Jaden's helped me out with that, and I'll be returning the favour when we come to turbo system and whatever other funky stuff.
Chassis will be well sorted, but we're just going to have
all the other shit glued on.
There is a lot of other stuff, we have hardly even gone through this, dry sump. We've got stuff to mount. We've got remote oil filters. We've got the amount of stuff we've got to do on the car is just ridiculous, but there's going to be plenty of hours.
Hopefully we can get that crimper on the way, bro, and we'll be able to sort a bunch of that out.
Yeah,
that's right.
Well, it's been a good story, mate. I wish you all the very best of luck. If anyone wants to support the racing program, have you got any socials or anything that people can get in touch with you? Or? Not really?
No, not really. Not at the moment. I should
call Red Light Auto Electrics and tell them you want to send him some money.
Just
book your car in.
Just book your car in. That's probably the best way to do it. I'll pull my finger out and get something sorted soon with the new program. But
and if you say you want to be helping the program, that's probably going to get done even quicker.
Yeah.
Before you go, mate, we've done pretty well on this potty, actually. It's lasted a fair while, but I've got some guest questions for you. This is something that we're going to be firing off this year. If we do have a guest on, we're going to be asking them these questions. And if you guys got any more, leave them in the comments if you've got some rippers for us. But it'd be interesting to get some stories from you. So, First question for you. Have you ever lost your license?
No, I haven't actually. I've been well behaved.
Were there any close calls?
Not really. Most
No?
of the time mine have been race cars. So.
I was going to say, you're at the track.
Yeah.
That's probably a good argument for it, really.
Smart move.
I was going to say, it's a good argument for it, really, isn't it? Which, I think you've maybe already answered this one, but you could throw us a curveball. Which car was the one that got away? One that you either regret selling or you regretted not buying?
I'll probably regret selling my EF.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you still got that C10 you were talking about?
Yeah, I still got my truck. Yeah, that will
Yeah.
get it done one day.
Yeah, one day.
Yeah.
That's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
You do miss that EF, don't you?
Yeah.
What's one tool that you couldn't live without?
Oh, my multimeter.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Not my multimeter?
No, not your one. Definitely not your fault. Definitely not your faulty one. Curveballs at 12 o'clock at night.
Jeff's got two identical looking multimeters and one's dead and one isn't. And he kept them both.
Normally you throw the dead one out, not Jeff.
It's still got a good battery and leads, bro.
I'll hand you this one to give you the ultimate bum steer at 12 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite 12 o'clock. It was like 10 past 11. What's your favourite power outer? Or are you an aspirated fiend?
Nah, turbos.
Turbos? I feel that's
Yeah.
going to be a common theme on this question, but you never know. Someone might surprise us. Street car or race car?
Race car for me.
Race car?
Yeah.
You don't want to deal with that street car life?
Nah, not particularly.
No?
I like my stuff to be easy to work on.
Now that you've got a race car underway, once that's, not that they're ever done because you're always progressing, but would you build a street car?
I've often thought about it,
Yeah.
but between like working flat out and then using the race car, probably not. Realistically, time-wise,
Yeah.
I just drive
Too many
my work.
mouths to feed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like we know the answer to this one too, but again, could be a curveball. What would be your ultimate form of motorsport?
Oh, we'll see if we can keep on drag racing for a little bit longer.
Would you be tempted into anything else?
We'll see how long we drag race for and go from there.
Actually, this sort of goes, we should probably take like 10 steps back here, but before you started racing cars, you did other racing, didn't you?
Yeah, did a lot of sailing.
Yeah, so no power, well, internal combustion power at least. It was all
Yeah.
wind power.
Yeah.
Yeah, how long did you sail for?
15 years.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
And so what was the transition like? What, I guess, got you out of sailing? Where did you transition out?
I just basically would work
Yeah.
pretty much all the time thinking about, and if you don't build your own stuff, you never learn. So
Yeah.
the best way to learn and get better at your job is to do stuff.
Yeah.
Do it yourself and learn. So
No, that's fair. Next question. You've got no restrictions and an unlimited budget to plan an event.
an event.
What's going to be involved? What would you have at your event?
Oh, I don't know. I think we need like a DX2K or World Cup in Australia.
Oh, so yeah, like a lot of like, big team drag racing type of thing. Yeah, right. What would be the closest that we got here? I guess Kenda do a pretty good job. And I mean, you got the Andra series as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, you probably don't have anything that's like a third party event.
I guess you got like the Midnight Mayhem stuff and the Grudge Kings and stuff over east, but not really anything over here.
Yeah, right on.
We don't have the population, I guess.
Yeah, probably not. But hey, if you got no budget. What is on top of your automotive bucket list right now? I know this changes all the time, but right now, tonight, what's on top of your bucket list?
For a car?
Automotive bucket list. So it could be whether it's like building a car, owning a car, or if you've got like an ET goal, horsepower goal, event that you need to get to. Shoot for the stars. You want to go to the US and race it or what?
I reckon that'd be pretty cool to get it over there.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
Would that be on your bucket list?
Yeah, if I could manage to make that work at some stage, then that would be pretty cool.
What about Dubai? I hear there's some pretty big dog racing in Dubai.
Yeah, I've never
I
really
think
looked into the
US,
Dubai.
Oh, I mean, the
Yeah.
US is probably where it's at.
An
yeah.
American engine, you should take it back.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's all we got as far as questions, mate. Thanks a bunch for coming and chatting with us on the pod.
That's right.
First
Thanks
guest
for having
for
us.
2025, one of many. And thanks for all your help with Kurto's car. I'll say it for him.
Yeah, I did thank him before. And I'll thank him again, I'm sure.
That's right. There'll be plenty of
That's
favours
it.
returned.
It's
So, yeah.
Like they say, what goes around comes around, and
There's going to be plenty of late nights ahead.
There's some
Yeah.
method to the madness working at 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
Hey, Kurt, I need this welded.
Yeah.
You up?
yeah, it helps that we don't live far away from each other as well.
Yeah. Hey, babe, what you up to? That's how it's going to go down.
Yeah, exactly like that.
Yeah, no, I've got a feeling we're going to be hanging out a heap more. I've had fucking heaps of fun. We've just like fucking been mates forever, it feels like, but we
Yeah.
haven't really. So
Nah, that's
we
right.
were all on the same level. We vibe good, so
Yeah.
it's great.
Man, when you're into the same shit and you want to do the same stuff, why not?
Yeah.
You're going to be helping us out a bit more. Obviously, you're really good at Twitch and wires. So we got some more Holley stuff to do with the rear mount turbo wagon. Got the SLE. Obviously, got to do yours as well. And
Yeah.
whilst we're doing some fabrication on your stuff, no doubt that'll make it to the channel at some point as well. So
Yeah,
might
definitely.
have a couple of 6-second cars on the channel this year, which would be pretty exciting.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good.
Yeah.
Thanks heaps for watching, guys. If you'd like to support the channel, hit them with it, Kurto.
Head to the website, torqhub.com.au, buy some merch or leave us a message. We really do love hearing from you guys, the stories,
That's
the
it.
questions or whatever. And also support the people that support us. So, you know, Penrite have helped us out over the years. I'm not sure how we're going this year yet. We haven't heard back.
Yeah,
but
Penrite's a supporter.
Reed Speed has just jumped on again for 2025. So head to the website, reedspeed.com.au. Check out, even if you don't have a Holden, just buy a shirt off him or something. Like, he supports us. He's a fucking awesome guy.
And do you know what? You can even support people for $0. Jump on their Facebook page, leave them a comment,
Give him a like.
Yeah.
Yeah. He makes good shit, and he's a good guy. So, and he supports us. So
And of course, if you're local to the southwest, support Jaden at Red Light Auto Electrics. That's it from us, though. Thanks again. Tied up 2 hours of your time. And
yeah,
we'll leave-
thanks, man. Thanks for dropping in. We might even do
thanks for
another
that.
one. We'll do another one. There's no
Yeah,
point.
that's it. Well, once the car's running, it's actually making some passes.
It's going to be like the furniture around here, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's it. We'll
plenty
do
to
another
do.
chat. I
That's
hope
it.
you've enjoyed. This is your first podcast.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
It was pretty scary at the start, but it's not now, is it?
Nah, it's not now. It's all good.
Right on, guys. That's it. We'll catch you on the next one.
Cheers.
See ya.
Ooh, easy. How'd you like it?
Easy way to kill
Easy,
a couple
yeah.
of hours.
It doesn't feel like it. No. When he started wrapping up, I'm like, oh, fucking hell, you're wrapping that up early.
You looked at the time.